What up, guys? Welcome back to Slapshot Sweethearts. Today we're sitting down with Sara Bustad. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Yeah, so excited to get into this interview. You guys made it far this year, but we're going to start from the beginning. How did you yourself get into hockey?
Oh, man. Well, I think that was a long time ago. I think, though, like outdoor rinks, right? Like Minnesota, that's huge, just getting on the outdoor rink. And my dad got me a pair of used hockey skates from Play It Again, and pretty much fell in love with the sport the second I got out on the ice and couldn't get enough of it. So, started playing hockey with the boys outdoors, and then played with the boys all the way up through Bantams, and then high school hockey for girls. And that's also big here in Minnesota, playing for your high school. And got to do that for the Stillwater Ponies, and then was fortunate enough to play Division I college hockey at Minnesota State University Mankato, and was a Maverick there for 5 years. Did a redshirt year my first season, and then that was that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So in terms of playing with boys, like how was that transition going from growing up playing with boys and then transitioning to girls at a later age? I know that's pretty common for a lot of the players that we've spoken to that at least played youth hockey with boys, but going all the way through up to high school at least.
Yeah, I think a lot of players that you speak to from around my age, a lot of them that played with boys when they were younger, or as long as they could, they were pretty successful with hockey. And I think that is just challenging yourself and pushing yourself to play with them. And I liked that physical play, and when I played peewees and bantams, there was checking, and I know that's changed a little bit in Minnesota now, but I think that was a huge reason to my style of play now, and playing in the WCHA, which is a really physical collegiate women's league. And so I think that's had a big impact on my playing.
Speaking of like your style play, you're a rather versatile player. You can do both offense and defense. Was that kind of always your, I guess, like maybe strategy playing to be like that type of utility player who can do all sides of it? Or was it just kind of like you just happen to be good at both?
I think it kind of happened. I think I played defense a lot, and then in high school we needed a little bit more offensive punch, and they threw me up there, and I saw a little bit of success when I played forward, and also really liked it. But then going into college, started off my career playing defense, and then about halfway through got thrown into the forward mix, and also really liked that as well. And playing for the Beauts last year, started off playing forward there, and then got thrown back on the blue line, and now just playing defense for the Whitecaps. And I think it's fun being able to play a little bit of both, and I think it makes me a better player, understanding both offense and defense, and then transitioning when I coach, being able to coach both sides of the bench. So I think overall it's been really beneficial for myself, and huge being versatile.
Yeah, so you said you didn't start your career with the Whitecaps, you started them with the Beauts. What was it like signing that contract and getting from the collegiate level to the professional NWHL level?
Yeah, so I mean, right out of college, I really thought like, all right, I guess that's kind of it. I'm gonna be done. I went down to Tampa, and I worked for the Tampa Bay Lightning down there, and was the community hockey coordinator, and was on the ice a lot still, growing the game, and creating different programs to get more people involved. And I was really missing playing. And then I had an opportunity to go play for the Beauts, and I was like, man, I got to do this now, right? Like, I'm going to have the rest of my life to work, and only a short amount of time to play. So I jumped on the opportunity, and that was really awesome. That was special first season, in the league, and also a league that I really believed in. And so it was a no-brainer making that decision, and, continuing to play while I have the skill set to be able to play.
Yeah, I mean, that job sounds awesome, though. So, I mean, good for you to at least start your career there.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's good.
So now with the Whitecaps, this season is your first season with them. An odd season to start with a new team. What was that transition like, especially in such a weird type of year?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, just a super weird year with COVID and everything with that. I think I was super fortunate enough the fact that I grew up here in Minnesota, and a lot of the players on the team I either grew up playing with them or against them. And so it was more like just coming back home and playing with the girls, so a really easy transition, and love, representing the hometown team and being back in the state of hockey.
You got Minnesota through and through here.
Definitely. I mean, obviously would have loved to have had a normal season and to have been able to play at our home rink, the Tree Rink, with fans. That would have been, super awesome and special, but looking forward to that for next year, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, even though you guys weren't allowed to have fans, there was still a ton of hype around this season and the Cup playoff run. The NBC Sports contract, Lake Placid bubble for the brief time that it occurred. What was that like from a player's perspective to have all that momentum going into the bubble and then to Boston as well?
Yeah, it was huge, right? And the hype leading up to the bubble. And, I think we weren't even sure we were going to have a season at one point. And then to be able to have a season and really showcase, our team was really exciting and huge. And obviously Lake Placid was an interesting experience with COVID in general. And I think, the idea was there. And unfortunately, we didn't get to close out the season while we were out there, but really fun going out to Boston. I think we had a great time out there, and happy that we were still able to be on NBC and represent our league and our team. But I would definitely say Boston was a lot more fun, I think.
I'm from Boston. I love to hear it.
Than Lake Placid, even though we didn't win it. But yeah, with COVID, I'm just happy that we even had a season, right? So
right.
Totally. So so obviously season gets stopped, everyone kind of has to go home. What was that like re-prepping for Boston like? Like how long after you guys were sent home did you get to start training? Like what was that prep for you guys?
Yeah, we know it was different for every team. So we've heard a different perspective from every player we've spoken to.
Yeah, I would say just communication on if we were going to even finish out the season was probably not consistent throughout all the teams, when I kind of wish it would have been. I had no idea we were going back out to Boston until a couple weeks and before we went out there, right? So we weren't training for I guess I don't even know how, maybe a month, maybe a little less than that, I guess. But, once we knew hey, this is on, we were hitting training pretty hard and doing everything we could to get back to it. I think the biggest thing for this whole season was from the beginning, right? Even when we started practicing, it was we were practicing and then we weren't because of something COVID, and then we were practicing and then we weren't. And so it was a lot of get in shape and then maybe not as good of get
right.
back into shape again. So that was a definite struggle, but I think, we're all athletes and we're able to kind of adjust to that and be adaptable. And so we figured out a way to do that.
That'll be hard mentally, because it's getting your body back into shape. That's kind of that's the job, was to kind of stay with this, but having to mentally just keep stopping and going, that must be so draining.
Yeah, it was for sure. I think though, in sports and in general, we face a lot of adversity, and I think, I like to think at least that we're better prepared to handle adversity when it's thrown our way. And I think this is a great example of that. But at some points, just not knowing what's going on and not knowing if we were going to play, it's what's going on? I don't know how to explain that, but we figured it out. We got through it, and just happy that we even had a season with COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the first game, you guys, for lack of a better term, looked like you coasted. It looked 7-0. It's a very, very nice game for you all. What was it like getting out of that game and going into the locker room, knowing that you guys were going to go to the championship the next day, that you guys, by all accounts, absolutely dominated that semifinal?
Yeah, I think no matter who we're playing, the Whitecaps always show up to win every game. And I don't think we underestimated or overestimated anybody at any point this whole season, especially those last two games. We're going to go hard regardless of the score. And I don't even think there was a point in that second game where we thought we were going to win that game too. That's the mentality. Yeah. And, until that last buzzer, we really thought we were going to win the whole thing. So I think just going in and treating each opponent as the toughest team is always our mindset.
And so, I mean, part of that last game had a bit of you weren't on the team last season, obviously you were with the Beauts, but last season, the Whitecaps and the Pride were that last 2020 game that was played. So there was a little bit of unfinished business there. Was there any sort of energy on the ice that was, there, or was it just like a fresh slate based off everything that's been going on the last year? What was that like?
Definitely. I mean, that rivalry is there and alive and well. I think, you feed off that energy from the other players that felt that and experienced that last time. And you get behind that 100% and it becomes what you feel and it's the common goal. And again, like we come every game to win it, right? So I think that one was definitely a big game for everybody in the locker room.
So this season came to an end. Not the best outlook or not the best outcome, but like, what's the outlook for next year? Are we ready to prove some people wrong, come back and take it? What's the training like? Are you getting ready?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you this for certain that when I got back in the locker room, one of the first thoughts I had in my head was, I want this even more next year, So we're not finished yet, and we'll be back for more next season. And training's gonna be a good one this summer and spring. And a lot of us are on the ice training or coaching and doing both of that. So it's gonna be good. We're gonna get after it this summer and then be ready for next fall and winter. That's a promise.
Amazing. Yeah. We're excited to watch next season. Hopefully the momentum that's been building within the league and like with the coverage can keep going, especially with all these new changes and where hockey's being aired everywhere. But we can't wait to see you guys keep going. So tell the people where they can find you on social so they can follow you this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on Twitter and Instagram, sbustad8, and post a lot of like hockey stuff and coaching stuff as well. So follow along and follow our Whitecaps pages as well too.
For sure. Sara, thank you so much for joining us. We were so happy to sit down with you. Can't wait to see what you guys do next season.
Thanks for having me.